A major boost. The president now giving states even more available vaccine.
200 million more doses than the federal government had previously secured.
Colorado ready to accept the new doses, which cannot come fast enough.
If you're over 70, you may have gotten the vaccine. You may get it this week. You may get it next week. You may get it the week after next. But you will get it. We're doing everything we can with every dose here to save lives.
And nail in the coffin?
Unity is the opposite of this travesty we are about to witness.
Republican senators indicating today how the rest of Trump's impeachment trial will play out.
He has never disavowed the lies that were fed to the American people.
Plus a 17-car pileup on I-25.
Traffic backed up for hours across the state.
And Colorado is getting snow, and lots of it.
Boy, it's been a while since Colorado has seen a pileup like this. 17 cars, including 3 semis. Boy, all crashing into each other this afternoon on I-25 near Loveland.
6 people had minor injuries. Now, luckily, nobody was seriously hurt. Now, let's take a live look now. That area actually just opened back up within the last 5-10 minutes, so it's going to be slow going, but at least it's going. And we're really seeing delays all across the state on this Weather Action Day.
And that is why we want to get straight to Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson. And Mike, some places got more than a couple of inches of fresh snow.
A few places got more. Most didn't, about 2 inches, but that sure did the trick out there as far as the slick conditions, and it continues at this hour. This is downtown, taking a look at Lincoln and Broadway. Here's some of the snow totals. About 5 inches a mile northeast of Estes Park, 5 miles west-northwest of Conifer, about 4, but most areas had 1 to 2 inches. But it was the timing coming in early this morning and lasting throughout the day. Still some light snow lingering. I think additional accumulations will be a ½ an inch or so. Out in the eastern plains, the snow continues a little heavier near the Kansas-Nebraska border and down over southeast Colorado, where the winter weather advisory remains in effect until 11 p.m. tonight. What will continue to fall? Temperatures. It's 20 right now in Denver, 16 at Greeley, 12 at Akron. We'll see temperatures drop to the single digits on the plains and below 0 in the mountains by early morning. So light snow will be ending, but it stays slick tonight. Single digits in Denver by morning. By about 8 or 9 o'clock, conditions will improve greatly. And we do have a nice warm up for the end of the week. I'll let you know which day the temperature hits 60 coming up in the 7-day.
All right, thank you, Mike. Ready for the next shipment. Late this afternoon, President Biden announced 200 million additional coronavirus vaccine doses are being purchased by the federal government. So that brings the total to 600 million. And he says that'll be enough for 300 million Americans to be fully vaccinated by the summer. The president says this should increase states' vaccine supplies by at least 16%.
And once that new supply arrives, that supply will immediately be sent to all 50 states, including, of course, Colorado. Latest numbers from the state show Colorado received more than 376,000 doses. Nearly all of those doses have gone to healthcare workers and those over the age of 70. And today, Governor Polis said the state is using all its available vaccine and is ready to administer more once the next shipment arrives from the feds.
And the governor wants to move as quickly as possible. Right now, 1 in every 115 Coloradans is contagious with the virus. But with more people vaccinated, the governor hopes he can modify the state dial to open up more of the state. Denver7's Liz Gilardi has more on how the governor sees this all playing out.
Governor Jared Polis said wearing a mask and doing our part is just as critical as this vaccine is being rolled out, and it could be even more critical if the variant becomes more widespread. This vaccine clinic at Coors Field is setting the stage for an even bigger event this weekend. The goal is to vaccinate 10,000 people, although it looks like progress.
We really don't see the full effect or benefit of the vaccine for many months to come.
Until then, Governor Jared Polis says Coloradans need to continue doing their part.
If people get a little bit more lax, it will resurge before the vaccine has a time to kick in. That's kind of what we were showing. Vaccine rapidly happening, but currently right now, a lot of danger in socializing and getting together or not wearing masks.
The state's epidemiologists showed data to back up that claim. This chart with the blue and gray bars shows the potential impact of the vaccine.
But I want to highlight here for you the fact that if we maintain our current level of transmission control at 78%, that is really where we see the greatest impact on saving lives here in the state.
Transmission control is a fancy way to sum up all of the measures we've taken since March, like social distancing and wearing a mask. mask. But we asked the governor if there's an end in sight or if we could see a rollback of restrictions.
But there will be more substantive change in the dial, and we're beginning these conversations once our most vulnerable are protected, right? What does the dial look like once everybody over 65, essential workers, all have protection?
The governor says the state will modify and eventually wind down this dial. In the meantime, the COVID-19 variant could pose a threat. But there's still a lot of unknowns. The message from the state is the variant, already detected in Colorado, will have less of an impact if we continue to do our part to slow the spread.
The variant is going to, we believe, increase, as time goes on. I think we just don't know at this point how rapidly we might see that variant increase.
And the governor says he's expecting to release more information about the vaccine rollout and additional phases, including teachers and those 65 and up. He's just waiting to hear how much supply the state will be receiving. Liz Gilardi, Denver 7.
All right, the telephone number 877-268-2926. And those are the hours it's open. We're there on your screen. Starting Monday, though, you can call 24/7. You can find all the details right now on thedenverchannel.com.
President Biden is directing housing and urban development to work toward promoting fair housing policies. This is all part of his first full week where he is rolling out daily executive orders. Today, he also signed an order creating a policing commission, and this will establish steps to improve prison conditions and eliminate the use of private prisons.
New at 5, we are learning that Senator Patrick Leahy, who is presiding over former President Donald Trump's impeachment trial, has been taken to the hospital.
He was in the Senate today as Senate jurors were sworn in. Shortly thereafter, the 80-year-old senator was taken to the hospital for not feeling well.
So also today, we got a little bit of a glimpse at how senators may vote in the trial. Today, a majority of Republican senators, including Mitch McConnell, voted to declare this second impeachment trial unconstitutional. Just 5 Republicans said they were in favor of moving forward. Today, senators were sworn in as jurors and were then sent home for the next couple of weeks. That trial will begin February 9th.
Right now, Adams County sheriffs are searching for the man who shot a mother and her son. They're out shopping at a Dollar General in Arvada, and deputies think the shooting might have been random. Denver 7's Ivan Rodriguez is there at the scene right now. Ivan, we've just learned more information about these victims.
And we're learning that it was a mother and son who were shot. The mother was actually using a walker inside this Dollar General behind me when she was shopping with their son before they were shot. The Adams County Sheriff's Office tells me so far they found no motive for this shooting. For the last 15 years, Anayeli Mendoza has been working at the Carniceria La Pasadita. She says this shopping center near Sheridan and West 53rd Place has suffered its share of vandalism.
Siempre hay muchos homeless y se portan mal.
She blames the homeless in the area for several broken windows. But from that to a shooting this morning at the Dollar General just a few doors down is a big difference.
No, yo nunca había escuchado aquí que hubiera habido una balacera, la verdad. Eso ya es algo fuerte.
She says she's never heard any gunshots while at work, making what happened this morning absolutely chilling. The Adams County Sheriff's Office says they arrived on scene shortly after 9:30 when the call came in.
When deputies arrived, they found a male and a female victims by the front door, and they received non-life-threatening injuries.
Both of them appeared to be checking out at the register.
Both victims were purchasing items at the front desk or at the front counter, and when the male stepped inside the front door and appeared to just, from what we've been told, just start shooting.
But with no disturbance before or after the shooting, the sheriff's office is continuing to look for a motive, as well as the suspect who took off in a black BMW without any plates. The sheriff's office says the man was also accompanied by a woman.
It appears to be random, but we're still in the very preliminary stages.
The Adams County Sheriff's Office says the woman who was shot is recovering from her injuries, but her son remains in critical condition. Live in Arvada, Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
Separating fact from fiction.
Who's writing it? What's the bias? What's the opinion?
And with so many sources available online, Colorado students are turning to traditional methods to dig up the truth.
What our role is, though, is to teach them how to dig deeper.
Right now, it's never been more important.
A scholarship for addiction patients.
With COVID, it was so hard to get into treatment.
How a Colorado treatment center is helping those in need.
It's really there to extend the invitation for anybody to get services who needs it.
And someone in Colorado could be losing out on $150,000.
Everything's alive. It's alive. You are sneaky. Okay.
It's kind of an inspiration just because he never gave up. He was always pushing himself.
Homeless camp cleanups in Denver now require at least a week's notice from the city.
Last night, a federal judge issued a ruling on a lawsuit from Homeless Out Loud. That's a group that wants to stop the sweeps altogether. The district judge instead ordered city officials to provide 7 days advance written notice to people living in these encampments before conducting a sweep. The only exception if the state determines there's a public health or safety risk. Now, even in those cases, the judge is still requiring at least 48 hours advance notice. Denver officials say this ruling sets up a bad precedent, saying it dangerously ties the hands of city officials and prevents them from acting swiftly in the case of a public health or safety emergency, which they say they frequently see in some of these large camps.
Well, the pandemic has meant additional hardships for those struggling with addiction. And that's why Aspen Ridge Recovery in Lakewood is broadening its reach and offering scholarships to anyone in need. The scholarships pay for 100% of a person's addiction treatment, from prescriptions to sober living. And since the pandemic, Aspen Ridge has given out more than $300,000 in scholarships. We have details on the scholarship right now for you on thedenverchannel.com.
9 lives lost in a single helicopter crash. Today marks 1 year since basketball legend Kobe Bryant, his young daughter Gianna, and 7 others were killed in that deadly crash. And Kobe's late wife, Gianna's mother, Vanessa Bryant, is insisting today not be about the crash, instead about celebrating Kobe and Gigi's lives.
That's right, and that's exactly what fans in Los Angeles are doing today. One group painting a mural in honor of their hero and his daughter.
It's kind of an inspiration just because he never gave up. He was always pushing himself 110%. and always inspiring others to never give up.
And teams all over the NBA tonight are honoring Kobe, including our Nuggets. They tweeted out this video, which included initial reaction from players about the crash.
Kobe was just 41 years old. Gianna was just 13. We'll be right back with more news right after this break.
So
it should be the students or teachers leading this rather than the parents, because we are the ones being directly affected by this.
Today's kids have access to more information than any other generation in history. And with so many kids online for school right now, they also have to learn how to separate the good sources from the bad. And all this week, Denver7 and our parent company, Scripps, are working with the National News Literacy Project.
It's to highlight how students and adults are becoming better news consumers and journalists. And as Denver7's Russell Haythorne found, in some cases, it starts with a good old newspaper.
So the kid will be able to see the classroom and work with us in the classroom.
In Michelle Pearson's classroom at Century Middle School in Thornton, Colorado,
They're never too young.
a big part of the curriculum is teaching students how to digest news from different sources.
What do I need to analyze? Who's writing it? What's the bias? What's the opinion?
It's called media literacy, and a big part of that is giving kids access to primary sources of information.
Right now, it's never been more important.
Dana Plefka helps to head up a unique program in Colorado called NIE, Newspapers in Education, free digital online access for teachers and students to the Denver Post, Boulder Daily Camera, Longmont Times Call, Loveland Reporter Herald, and the Greeley Tribune.
Over 230,000 students in Colorado have access to that information.
Students have access to a myriad of different resources through Newspapers in Education.
Pearson, the 2011 Colorado Teacher of the Year, says students are constantly sifting through a barrage of information and misinformation.
When students have a lot of media coming at them every day, they're getting bite-sized nuggets, what they're surfing on, well, Instagram or maybe TikTok.
NIE allows students to dig deeper.
Giving them that newspaper access to get a wider picture of the story, to read a little deeper, deconstruct it a little bit more, gives them the opportunity to be critical thinkers.
Both Pearson and Plefka say this isn't about teaching students what to think, but how to access different sources of good information and form their own opinions.
You might actually read between all of our family of newspapers completely different editorial positions, say on fracking. Boulder's going to have a different position than, say, Longmont, Lowland, or Greeley.
Really help Republicans during the Trump administration. Not a center progressive.
Not just going to one news source constantly, but being fed a variety.
It's not our role to teach what they should think. What we need to teach them is how they should critically think.
From Pearson's perspective, in her middle school social studies class, you might be surprised and encouraged to hear her students truly value and respect reliable sources.
Our students really do understand bias. What our role is, though, is to teach them how to dig deeper.
Which encourages students to think critically.
Who's telling me this? What are their sources? How did it come to me?
In all of media education and media literacy, you should be asking the what, the who, and the so what. So if you're asking the right question, you'll get to the right answer.
In Thornton, Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
Right now, the Douglas County School Board is meeting as some parents push for the board to be recalled. They think all students should be back full-time in classrooms by now, but one Dougco student is leading a different push. Ethan Reed goes to Legend High School and thinks all students should be learning from home. Reed thinks there's a level of consistency with all students online compared to the back-and-forth hybrid schedules, and so he's now out gathering signatures.
It should be the students or teachers leading this rather than the parents, because we are the ones being directly affected by this, and our voices really need to be heard by this board.
Well, if you'd like to add your name to Ethan's petition or just look it over, we have a link to do so on thedenverchannel.com. And as of right now, the plan is for Douglas County high school and middle school students to return to hybrid learning on February 8th.
What a pretty nice little snow out there today.
Yeah, really nice. And we caught this man along South Broadway this morning before most of the snow started piling up. He was out there using a leaf blower to clear his sidewalks, and you know, hey, anything works.
That's right.
Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson is joining us.
Well,
Mike.
It doesn't work in other parts of the country, but it does manage to work here with our dry, fluffy snow. The snow will be ending this evening. It's going to be a cold one, though, with slick roads will drop down to 12 by 11 p.m., and it was not a warm day today. Only 24 for the high, 19 has been the low, and you melt it down out at DIA, 0.04 inches of liquid out of this particular storm. Right now it's 18 downtown, still 20 at the airport. The pressure rising, winds are out of the east at 10. Air quality will be poor late tonight and tomorrow because that cold air, we get some inversions, and so there is a burning ban in currently effect. As far as the temperatures, look at these. We're at single digits in the mountains. Teens across the metro. The light snow continues around the area and will continue for the next couple of hours before ending as the storm moves farther to the east. Slick roads, light snow early on. By the time we get to midnight, just a few lingering flurries, and by early morning, clearing but cold with temperatures down to 10 below at Gunnison, 9 below at Alamosa, 7 above for Denver, Greeley, 2 out at Lyman. Along the Front Range, you'll see those lows down to 4 below at Kremling, 4 above at Grand Lake and Keystone, and about 12 degrees downtown. Start with a cold morning, some slick roads. As the day goes on, sunny, not as cold. By midday, conditions will be much better, and by late in the day, mostly clear skies are expected, but it will be chilly. 42 the high temperature, which is certainly better than today. It's going to take us, though, till about mid to late morning to see those temperatures get above freezing. And along the Front Range, 20s to low 30s in the mountains, upper 30s to low 40s expected on the plains. So tonight, light snow ends, but very cold, down to 7. For tomorrow, the high temperature is going to get up to 42. Cold and slick early, but much better by late morning into the afternoon. And after that, it really warms up. Look ahead to Thursday, 53, 60 coming up on Friday. Over the weekend, there'll be another storm coming in, but mainly for the mountains Friday night and Saturday. Some mountain snow on Saturday, dry on the plains, but a little windy. Cooler Sunday with 48, back to the low to mid 50s Monday and Tuesday. But I got to tell you, folks, enjoy that warmer weather because looking longer range, late next week into the following weekend, it could be really cold with snow statewide. Drive safe, stay warm this evening.
All right. Thank you, Mike. You know, a Coloradan may not have walked away with the grand prize, but the state is getting a big boost thanks to last week's billion-dollar Mega Millions jackpot.
Over the last 3 weeks, more than $33 million in lotto tickets were sold in Colorado. Great Outdoors Colorado will be getting more than $6 million of that. Thank you very much. Parks and Wildlife will get about $5 million. Now, also, is there any chance you bought a lottery ticket back in August last year? Think King Soopers Windsor? Well, if so, you might have a $150